Hello, I'm Steve Peterson.
And I am Jack Hinkle.
Welcome back to Chops Podcast. Today is July 25th.
Yeah, we said we felt like it's been July 83rd the past few days.
Yeah.
Oh boy, but you know what?
What?
That
Jack?
E flat was good. You know why?
Why?
Because we've been playing a lot of Anchors Away this week. Oh boy.
School song, baby.
Yep. No, it's good. So if you're watching the videos, we're even more sun-kissed than we were last week. We're gonna be so tan in like a week.
I know.
It's gonna be so great.
I got the farmer's tan going on, but it's okay. It was beautiful out today. It was like 75.
Yeah,
it was like perfect.
The morning was like 57.
It was
like a little chilly.
amazing.
Yep. I put a jacket on this week. I've never put a jacket on the week of band camp.
Okay.
So things are moving.
Yeah.
Things are moving.
Okay, so we just talked a little bit about what we want to talk about in this episode, but then I was just thinking about an episode that happened with a group of students I was working with a few hours ago, because we were doing something in our music. We were marking charts in our music. Okay. And so for those of you who don't know, when you mark charts in your music, it's basically how the visual part of a marching band show correlates to the musical part. And instead of marking in your music like what notes to play and what rhythms and helping diagram things like that, you write like visual cues, like when to move your feet. And we have what we call chart numbers and how many steps to get there. So we mark our music so it's visually indicating what our feet are going to do, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was very pleased with how it was going in the room, and I had 50 students, and it was very quiet. And they tried to collaborate, and I said, no, please don't collaborate. Just let me talk. And I said, I'll be very concise, and you let me know if you have any questions. And then I said, is that okay? Do you guys understand? They said, yes. I said, okay. I said, I'm trying to be a good teacher. I said this. I said, I'm trying to be a good teacher and trying to be very concise about what I'm saying, and I'm not using a lot of words. Is it effective? They said yes. And then and then we did a few more rounds of this and all this. And then I said, do you understand? And they go, yes. And I go, don't all teachers say to you guys, do you understand? Doesn't the class always say yes? Isn't that just like do you think I'm a nice person? Yeah, you're great, right?
Does this shirt look okay on me?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Great. So
do you think I'm smart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I was like, I don't know. Maybe those kids would tell me because they know me better. Maybe they would say, no, you messed up, because kids do tell you when you mess up, right?
Some are very happy to do that.
Right. That's kind of like their badge of honor.
Yes. The do you understand thing, that's a slippery slope.
It is. And
especially with I'm with you though, that chart marking thing, all band directors out there are cringing right now.
Yeah,
They're
it
like,
is.
oh, I hate doing that with my kids. It's not that it's painful, it's just that it's so confusing if you've never done it before. And even you and I were getting cooked by some stuff and trying to talk through that. So
right. Jack and I try to look at the X's and O's before we teach it, and making sure that we're at least one other person is like in cahoots on this, and we kind of know what's going on.
We were like that woman looking at the formulas on like that meme, just like trying to have the formulas on. She's like, what is going on? Yeah. Okay. So you were doing that with your kids. Right.
And so where is this going? But I was thinking, you had talked about in an episode earlier that, when we teach, bringing to light how the students look at you in return.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And so I don't know. I like in those controlled moments, because like marching band is not always controlled, because you're outside and there's just a lot of distractions.
Quite uncontrolled.
And I'm proud of our students. I think they do a nice job of being attentive, but there's inevitably something going on. There's always train horns.
There's always lawnmowers. We were talking
lawnmowers
about this, and our campus is looking fire right
now.
Oh,
the
grass
lawn.
is like,
shout
every
out
dad
to
out there would be like gold star.
I mean, they're great.
Yes.
And it looks wonderful, but the wind or the sun or it's just a lot going on. So when you get inside to a controlled environment, it feels really good.
Yes.
And then when it's quiet and it's cool and it's still, it feels really good.
Yes.
So it was kind of fun just being in that and then trying to be as concise and as economical as possible, making sure they got all the information.
Mm-hmm.
Then we did get to go back over it, like verbally, like we did some kind of call and response, and then we did some things with our feet, and then eventually we did put the music to it, but just being very deliberate about it. And that felt good.
Yeah.
Because the success rate was like way up. We moved slow, but the process we've been talking about, the steps to take it, worked out really well.
Good. So you guys are you're marching part two?
Yes.
Sectional step outs?
Yep. Like 2/3 of the way through.
We were putting on choreo with part 4 today.
Oh, well, it's because the best teachers have the best kids. So Jack Hinkle, ladies and gentlemen, Teacher of the Year.
That was a very sarcastic statement, just by the way.
Okay.
We're doing the same
So
this week,
yeah,
right, because we're trying to talk about, I don't know how to put this into like one nice little tight phrase.
yes, 2 perfect phrases.
2 perfect phrases. We would like to help kids. Period.
Yep, there we go.
We want to teach kids, and not just notes and rhythms, but something I think Steve is really good at, and you're also, I think you're becoming more intentional with this. Like you're trying to find moments in the rehearsal and whatever to help kids. But Steve's really good at just teaching kids, where I think a lot of teachers might just stop and get frustrated. Nothing to do with content, everything to do with life. You know, you were talking last week, this reel got some attention, by the way, about being on time and helping coach kids to be on time. I think a lot of teachers or maybe even coaches would say, you're late, go run laps.
Yes.
Something like that. But Steve says, 8 a.m. rehearsal, what time are you getting here? 7:45. Great. What do you have to do in the morning? Well, it's probably good to like set my rehearsal stuff by the doors when I'm ready. You know, stuff like that.
Right.
That a lot of kids may not kind of have the chops for right away. And so this week, trying to find some areas where we can teach kids. I don't even think those are soft skills. I mean, they call them soft skills, like, you know,
That's like
timeliness, but those are just like skills.
skills.
Those are just like life skills.
Being on time.
Yeah. But also having a positive demeanor.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You were talking. I thought this was good. You should talk about this.
Oh, okay.
I'm setup guy this week.
You
That's
are.
good.
Last
That's
week
my-
I was setup
You were
guy.
setup guy. Now it's my turn. Steve was talking to the kids how in the morning block of rehearsal they're fresh, and then the afternoon block not as fresh, which makes sense after working 6-7 hours in
Right.
the day. Steve, tell him what you said. Tell him what you did.
Oh, what did
As
I
he was wearing a Chicago Bears beanie with ski goggles on today for
Oh, yeah.
Wacky Day, which at one point he put on the readers on top of the ski goggles because those notes on the iPad are getting pretty small.
my
That
gosh.
was epic. There is a photo of you on Facebook floating around with that too.
Really?
I did not post it. but
Google
I'll
or
post
the
it.
goggles
The
and
goggles and the readers
Yeah,
on the
that-
outside of the
oh
goggles.
my
That was
gosh.
epic. Stove Patterson.
the Stove. Yeah, I'm sure Stove is back. Okay, wait. I said something to them about
Blood sugar.
oh
Right.
blood sugar. Oh yeah, I said I'm back. Okay, I said, I said to them, what do you think is my most energetic time of the day? And a lot of them called out. They said the morning. I said exactly. I said I'm good. I'm good in the morning.
3 cups of coffee.
3
in.
cups of coffee in. I
Let's
got
go.
you. And I said in the school year, a lot of times I have jazz band right after lunch, but sometimes I slug down a cup of coffee and then I'm ready to go for that class. Sometimes after lunch it can be a little bit of lull, but I said I have to be aware of the highs and lows in my own body and mind and spirit and how that affects my outlook on things. And I said, I don't know if we talked about blood sugar, but the idea that some things may be more tolerable at some points of the day, and then the exact same thing happens, and you may just be tired and not having it, and then you just can't handle it, right? So acknowledging and explaining to them that you have different emotions through the day based on your energy level, and to be okay with that, but also to be aware of it. You might find certain things annoying at 3 p.m. that at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. it didn't matter.
Very true.
And
Very
I think
true.
I think that happens to teachers, it happens to parents, it happens to friends and spouses or whatever. It's like but I think it's okay to notice that you're having a downslide and say this is not always how it is, And I think that's our job since we are working with teenagers to kind of bring up that's a part of the game, and that's a part of the teenage game.
Yes.
Of being consistent.
And I want to give Steve more credit because the kids said you were most energetic in the morning. They were picking up what you were putting down. If you probably would have asked them, like, do I seem tired to you at any point in the day? They would likely say no.
Right.
And I'm sure that you are tired at points of the day, but you choose what you show. You choose the emotions that you display. And I think that that's a good model for our students to see, that you are kind of in control. You are in control of how you display yourself, how you display your emotional temperature, and you can push past whatever feeling you're having, maybe tired, sore, hungry, whatever, and showing to the kids that that's possible, but also necessary at certain points, I think is really healthy.
Yes.
And I know a lot of our kids can do that too. Like, a lot of our kids have that skill, and some of them are developing those skills right now. And as you said, helping them become aware of when they are in the good, like in the good moments of that, or in the maybe more easier to give in to those feelings.
Yes.
Knowing when you're in which sector of that you've been helping the students with, and then having them push past that, man, we'd be unstoppable.
Right. Because it's not the idea that you're not going to have those moments. It's the idea of like being aware of it, like self-aware. You talk about being self-aware a lot, helping the students be self-aware, but then also like choosing what to do with that.
Yes.
Those highs and lows. And maybe just kind of like pull back and like notice how you respond to certain things. And again, that's why, that's a big part of teaching teenagers. And we, whether you're teaching band or athletics or drama or algebra or whatever you're doing, but helping the students see that and helping them observe those highs and lows and just be aware. I mean, I think there's just a lot of talking that needs to, or some things that need to be said to students. And maybe sometimes I wonder, I'm like, well, they're gonna go, well, whatever, or, and just kind of blah blah blah. But I've had students say that was helpful that you said that, and so I kind of take a lead or take feedback on that, and thinking that there's not a lot of, maybe sometimes kids don't get any kind of feedback like that. And you've talked about also just recently, like since COVID, that our coping skills as a society, and teenagers are a part of that, just about like how we process things or how we talk about things, or how do you express anger? How do you express sadness? How do you express being sad?
Well, and you were talking about like the grounding things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Senses.
I mean, every morning you've been talking about that with kids. Right. I don't think it's a secret, at least in the United States, that there's like some anxiety.
Yep.
With kids and with high schoolers, and you didn't frame it this way.
No.
But you said, if you're feeling like you're not present, here are some ways that you can be present.
Right.
Feel the breeze on your face. Feel the pavement at your fingertips on the ground right now.
Right.
Smell the freshly mown grass. I mean, all that stuff to bring the kids back. And you're always framing it in like a positive way, as like, we want you here with us. Be with us. I thought that was really good.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And then, you're talking about how we can help kids be aware of that. You did this yesterday, and you said, Ben, your morning rehearsal was stellar. You were locked in, you were focused, the achievement level was high, the effort level was high, the process was high. When we got to the afternoon block, it was not the same. And you're like, it makes sense, right? You've after lunch, you've been working for 6 hours, it's hotter, you're more tired, you might not have the energy left. you can choose to push past those things and still get things going.
Yeah.
And I thought today the afternoon was really like
It was wonderful.
It was bombing.
It was
good.
wonderful.
It was good.
Do you reflect and like, why? Why was it better?
Constantly.
So why was it better?
Well, you'd said to the kids that it was like Thursday.
Yeah.
Which we don't have. This is the last day of band for us for the week, so maybe they had a little more push to the finish.
That was good.
Normal.
It was incredible weather. It was warm with a breeze.
They
Also, you started rehearsal, not me. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just walked in late.
just
I was
walked in,
like,
what up? They also were more comfortable with the content.
Oh, yes.
Because it was older content.
Older content. That's true. I know Brian talks about that a lot. Just about getting to the end of the day and feeling full. And then just like you can't. It's hard to digest.
Yeah, yesterday those kids were full. They ate like a 3-course meal at a buffet.
Yeah,
going
they were
back for
like,
dessert.
okay,
They're like,
dude. Yeah, it was tough.
But today, and that was the first time we had full ensemble with drumline.
So there's like a different energy.
It's a different vibe, and it was all stuff everyone's been working on since day one that they could achieve well.
And it was the first time we did it together.
Yep.
And it kind of worked.
It kind of worked. It was fun.
It was. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a band.
Wow, you kids can move your feet. Look
at us. Wow, you can play some
go.
instruments and toss those flags, you know?
Yeah.
So we're starting to get after some things and like, all this time that we spend 75% of our time, 80% of our time is split of not playing music together. But now when you put it together, you're like, oh, look at us. Wow. Oh, okay.
Yes. So in the spirit of soft skills, some things I want to work on with my kids: standing still, being proactive with instructions.
What do you mean?
Standing still, I think that one's pretty self-explanatory, but a lot of kids, if you ask them, are you trying really hard to stand still, they'll all say yes, and I'll believe them. But they don't have the awareness that they're not. It's kind of like falling asleep. You never notice when you fall asleep, you just wake up. Yeah. You never notice when you're moving around, but then suddenly you're looking up and everyone else is.
So do you just say be aware of what you're doing?
I switch it up. I'll do that. I'll make a funny statement. I'll make a direct statement.
Yeah.
I'll make an all call, whatever. I do try and help them with that.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's relax, set. Just the gross motor skill of moving and then stopping. Practicing the stopping.
Right.
What was the second thing I said? Proactive with instructions.
Yeah, what's that?
We have some pinball kids.
Yeah, what's a pinball kid?
Is that a thing or did I make
shopping cart?
What
are we talking about?
Shopping cart. What's that?
I thought we were talking. Okay,
we might be the same thing.
Shopping cart is basically when you have a marcher that's out there that's not real familiar with what's going on, and they just kind of get pushed from one. You get pushed by one person to the next, and so you're like a shopping cart in the Walmart parking lot, right?
Yep, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I was just imagining
pinball,
the pinball like bouncing into stuff.
So especially at this time of the season, you put on a lot of new material. The learning curve is very high. And then students are kind of bopping around and not getting after everything, and they're, struggling.
I think we're very clear with our instructions. 8 counts plus 1 step.
Yep.
Go. And we got kids that just they don't know when that 8th step's happening. I'm like, oh, that's like your one job right now. You can do this.
Right.
You can do this. And helping the kids be on the front end of that like, okay, I'm on step 4. I know I got 4 more steps until I change direction. Like, every kid can do that.
Yes.
And I want to help them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be like, you are not doing this. You are not achieving. Shame on you. Because I know they're trying. I'm looking at these kids and like they are dogging it out there, and I want to help them. And I want to be better at that.
So being proactive. So is that part of your scaffolding kind of outlook on things? You're presenting items in a way that students can be successful?
Gosh, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Those are 2 things that were specifically on my mind today, because a lot of the soft skills are getting better in the past 2 weeks. I've noticed that a lot, that kids are more automatic about waiting and being silent. That stuff's happening more. That's like that training is showing.
Yes.
And I want to keep pushing the kids with that automatic training
Right.
that they have.
Yeah.
Not so they can be bots, but
No. But I think also if you just kind of get to 2 or 3 weeks in and then it just kind of continues without like sharpening the tool, it will probably regress.
correct.
So giving them more to look forward to or more to seek out.
Yes.
We go back to Frank Troika. Isn't Frank Troika the one that brought up the levels of listening?
Yes.
And that was a moniker that we used a few years ago about like be a 4, be a 5. So like level 1 is you're listening to something but you're not doing what's expected.
Yeah.
Level 2, well, you're not engaged at all, right?
Right.
Level 2 is you're engaged some of the time. Level 3 is you're listening and following through on all behaviors.
Baseline.
Baseline. You're
Baseline
like on
success.
task.
Yep.
Level 4 is you're using previous information that you've done in a different setting and applying it to the current lesson.
Right.
And then level 5 is you are forecasting where the teacher is going to go.
I think that's a great system
And
to think about.
that's I just thought about this in a different way. Like if you're forecasting where a teacher is going to go, you better be proactive and like predictable as a teacher. If you present your daily class in a way that's not predictable and logical, the students can't really forecast where you're going to go.
I was talking to one of our summer staff members about this.
Okay.
Because it's so much easier to teach kids that you've had for 3 or 4 years in the past.
Right.
Because my summer staff member,
Yes.
this is his 4th year.
Yeah.
So all the kids know him, or all the kids that are returning have known him, and the seniors have had him every year. So we've talked about how it's so much easier for him to teach those kids because they know how he rolls.
Yes.
And then I remember that feeling too, my like 4th or 5th year having like a full cycle of kids.
Yes.
And just like we know how it's going. I think that's so helpful.
Yes. Although the scary thing is the flip side of it. If you get through a 4-year cycle with kids and you're just not happy with how things are going,
oh yeah, you got some work to do.
then you're like, self-reflect much.
Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Word.
Yeah.
I think that. Oh, hey, there's a train
Yeah,
horn.
there's
just like
a
we were talking
train.
about. That level 4 and 5 stuff is really good. I haven't talked much with my kids about it this year, but I think that's
No.
really helpful.
Maybe we'll start bringing that back next week. That's a really good thing.
It is.
A really good thing.
What other soft skills you got that you're working on, or with yourself? Are you trying to be more timely, more focused, more energetic?
I think that presence, be present. I like that because that has to do with like attendance, like be present, like be physically present, but then also be present, like be aware of where you are. Don't like just be in your don't be in your thoughts far away. Like be in the mind that is like here and now. And I think that's good.
We have these Steve calls them crop circles. They're just circles on the practice field.
We're supposed to use them to march. We never use them.
Well, that makes sense why we are bad at making circles. Fascinating.
We're doing a space show. Most of our show is a circle this year.
Anytime we're in grids or we can stand on dots, boy, we look good. That'd be interesting to try and use those circles. I just remember we did circle drills like twice when I was in high school, and I imagine that's why it only happened twice.
Because it was awful,
atrocious.
and I don't think we had the skills of figuring out how to do it. We were like, reboot.
So we've used them as kind of a corralling space.
Right.
And Steve has, like, every morning after morning stretches, like, has the band run to them, and you do a little morning meeting with the kids.
Right.
Announcements, but also just kind of, like, checking in and a little, like, nugget of Steve Peterson wisdom.
Yeah.
And sharing that stuff with the kids. I think that's been helpful. That's been good.
Yeah,
It's like family meeting.
It is like a family meeting. I remember I read a book. I did not write a book. I read a book a number of years ago. It was written by, I have a love affair with the University of Kentucky basketball, and all the coaches write books.
Mm-hmm.
Most coaches write books, right? And Rick Pitino, who won the national championship at Kentucky in '96, the coach there wrote a book, and I can't even remember what the book is called. It is something about success, but he has a big part in that book called The Precious Present. I need to go back and I actually may have it here, but it's the prescience present. And I know probably about 15 years ago, I did use that mantra with the kids because I remember getting gifts that were like presents.
Nice.
You know, like
presents.
Presents.
Yeah, present.
And the precious present.
Precious
You know,
present.
and so that's not a new concept, you know, but it was, you know, more pop culture to that coach at that time. And I'm sure these things get passed around, you know, generation after generation. But I mean, you know, that's like a great time to be able to, you know, in an extracurricular activity, be able to pull those students aside and like talk intentionally about some kind of skill or some kind of behavior or some kind of emotional feeling or organization or something.
Every teacher always says those are their favorite moments in
Sure,
teaching, right?
yeah.
It's never like whatever you're doing in the classroom, but it's
Right.
like those little conversations where you actually feel like you made a difference in a kid's life.
Right. Yeah, those are fun to try to figure out. It is fun. And I do like watching clips of coaches. I mean, you know, a lot of times you watch coaches clips and they're like the same thing, but sometimes you find some real nuggets of people and doing a totally different job, but maybe have the same intent of teaching young people, maybe college students. But it's interesting to watch somebody else do that. I think that's one of my favorite things to do is to like watch other people teach.
That's true. You send me a lot of Instagram reels of that stuff.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. And, you know, see how other people do it. And especially people that are successful, although you can learn from watching people that are not as successful, right? But
very true.
So that is kind of interesting. I'm always open about where to get inspiration for things, you know. I don't know. And maybe sometime the crop circle, you know, we could augment the speakerhood, you know. Maybe it could be a new person talk. You know, somebody has something on their mind, more from the staff, not the students, but, you know.
Well, and that kind of thing right now is like a gold mine in the marching band because there's so many opportunities because so many kids are doing this for the first time where their entire summer they've been indoors, sitting, you know, not active. So it's always a struggle. It's both difficult and a struggle.
Yes.
And it's fun to watch that turn as the season goes into difficult, but just work.
Yes.
It's not a struggle. It's at certain points. And right now, I mean, you had a nice moment today, like encouraging the band while they were at set, you know, after they just finished a rep, and you were getting after them in a good way. That was cool. And that was, I think, the first time that you've done that. There's always a different feeling when you're being coached positively while you're still standing still at our attention. You know, it's a little more intense.
Yes.
A little more goosebumpy.
Yeah.
And finding opportunities for that kind of stuff, I think, is really fun, especially this early on. All in moderation, though, right?
All in moderation. I think the whole thing, you know, teaching. Yeah, that's a good quote too. Like all in moderation. I think, like, you know, people that are teaching all day. We happen to be in a band camp day, but it, you know, you could be in a regular school day. Like, but get to everything and experience different kind of moments as a teacher, but kind of in moderation. You don't want to live in any one little galaxy too long.
Well, and we've been talking a lot this week. You know, I was going back to thinking about the whole blood sugar thing and like, how am I, you know, aware of things or not aware of things as a student? I know you and I are doing the same thing, but as teachers constantly. And we've been talking a lot this week about like dry rehearsal versus chaotic rehearsal versus anywhere in the middle.
Yep.
And where does that sweet spot hit?
Yeah.
Is it the same every time? Is it different? And that, I mean, that's a puzzle.
I think that's really, I'll just lack a better word, I'll say interesting. How to do that, like how to have a calm and quiet, focused rehearsal. But I'm not exactly a calm and quiet kind of guy. You know, ski goggles and a Chicago Bears hat. But the idea is, I guess you got to read the room. You got to see what's what's useful for that. Like how we teach a music theory class with 15 students or teach a jazz band with 20 students should be different than how you teach a marching band with 220 students.
And we were just talking about that 2 episodes ago in the chaotic classroom.
Yes.
But yeah, the marching band thing is different.
You don't want it to be chaotic.
Well, and you want to build your system.
Right.
And you don't want to, you got to train your cruise staff.
Yes.
And if you start, dropping jet skis off the side and letting them fly, you're going to have your staff come up to you and go, dude, what is going on? Can you calm down? But sometimes you got to ride the jet ski. Even if you're on the cruise ship, you got to get in the pool,
It does get a little, it does need to get a little nutty or a little wacky or
but
silly.
I think that's why the team teaching thing is helpful. Because if most of the time we probably egg each other on, but, if it does get a little crazy, we can be okay, let's keep it going.
Or if it gets too serious or dry, somebody can throw something in
the
there.
Other way,
which is kind of fun.
I mean, you had some good moments this morning with that stuff too.
Yeah, and another interesting thing that happened, I was just talking to some students after rehearsal today, and that I said, this morning seemed very eerily quiet when we did stretch. I know you were at a different location.
Okay.
But then you came back towards us. But we, I usually do some kind of little monologue and student interaction, like who had burritos last night or who went to bed at 10 p.m. or whatever, just do some little giggles. But then we've been doing some stretches, but it was eerily quiet today. And then I asked the students, I said, was that because people were tired and they were checked out, or just because they were into it? They're like, no, it's because they were into it. I thought that was cool. They're people like stretching.
They do, because when we were halfway through our drill setting sequence 3 hours later, you're like, you guys want to stretch? We're like, yes.
Yes. So we put the instruments down.
And you stretched.
And it stretched.
A little brain break, but also literally body break.
Yep.
And also just help yourself kind of refocus and literally stretch out the body, just saving the muscles. I think that's good. And it's okay not to talk.
Yes.
It's okay for it to be silent. I mean,
Go, Jack, go.
That's the other soft skill.
Run, Jack, run.
Is that we've been trying to help our kids be okay if they mess up. If marching band has errors, if marching band was error-free, we'd be out of jobs.
Right.
And the first couple days we've been learning new moves, and the kids are going all over the field. I mean, they would yard sail by literally yards. They would yard sail, and they all get giggly and a little scurry to their spot before we tell them to. And the staff has been pretty intentional about saying, honor the process. If you make a mistake, that's fine.
Right.
Honor the process. Wait for us to tell you to adjust. Don't laugh. Be comfortable in the mistake. And it was pretty rough for the first few days, but there was a time today that you honored the kids and said, guys, that was really bad. That looked horrible, but your achievement of the process was very high. You were silent. You waited for us to tell you to move, and then you moved.
Right.
If kids get comfortable with being wrong, and I don't mean used to being wrong, I mean being comfortable if a mistake is made and not feel so self-conscious that they have to giggle.
Preach.
That says a few things. That says, one, that they feel comfortable in the team.
Yeah.
2, it says they're ready to learn. And 3, it says they trust the process.
Yes. Yeah, that was pretty cool today. Because it was a horrible
set. 5 yards off, a whole yard line.
And we had, in their defense, we had not done that little chunk in a while, and it was kind of almost new ground, and it kind of caught off guard. But it wasn't a disaster in the process.
No, and the good news about that is that when we learn new drill in the next coming weeks, that they will yard sail again because they're human.
Right.
We can yard sail correctly.
Yes. Yeah.
I would be so happy, and that hopefully that translates to the music sectionals. If something's really bad, we don't have to blow up and laugh about it. We can just try it again and learn.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's good stuff.
We're going to go laugh-free. No laughing the rest of the season. No laughing.
No laughing.
No laughing.
Yeah.
Even though today was wacky day.
It was wacky day.
There were some good fits today.
Yeah, there were some really weird fits, but I just went down to the basement and I was like, what can I find? I was like, oh, my Bears hat. That's what I usually use when I'm like shoveling snow.
Okay.
And I found the boys ski goggles. And I was like, okay, I'm in.
Nice.
So
I did the classic mismatched socks, and
so
I'm kind of doing the grout fit today.
Yeah, you kind of look like something I'd wear. Yeah. Yep.
Can't wait for Adam Sandler Day.
Woo! Dressed like, I don't know. You have Adam Sandler?
I thought he was coming. I thought you had Adam
that
Sandler.
Would be cool. That would be cool if he showed up. On the Minion Day, I just wear yellow? I don't know.
I thought we were supposed to dress like Gru.
Do you have Gru stuff?
I don't want to wear a scarf in black on a Halloween day.
I don't know. Dude.
Well, the goggles would actually work pretty well again for Minion Day. But you just need one. Just one right in the forehead.
A Cyclops.
Yes, Cyclops. Yep, that's it.
Okay, so it's the end of the work week for us. Got tonight off, tomorrow off, Saturday, Sunday, right?
Sweet.
And then one more week of 8 to 4.
Can't wait to brew my good coffee tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay.
Dude.
Funny thing though, last night, whenever I got home, last night, whatever, I made a pot of coffee on the timer.
Yep.
And then I went into the living room to talk to Kathy, and then I hear beep 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 beep. I had pushed the brew instead of the timer. So I brewed a full pot of coffee at like 7 p.m. last night.
Did you drink it? Did you save it?
I saved it, then I microwaved it today.
Ooh, that's a bold move.
I don't usually do that, but I was like, get over yourself, Steve. It's only 12 hours old.
You doing the Starbucks dark roast?
Starbucks dark roast all day long. Drank it out of my mug that I got at Disneyland last year.
Yes.
The jazz
nice.
note something. I don't know.
Okay.
It was based off a Pixar movie. It was kind of cool.
Okay.
So I did that, and it's good.
You still do the Prime subscription for that?
For the coffee?
For the coffee.
Yes.
Okay.
And the dog food.
And the dog food. Don't mix those up in the blender.
No. Oliver's got new food ready to go.
I've been doing, it's called Cameron's Roast.
Okay.
It's pretty good. Comes in the 2-pound bag. Do you do the 2 pounds?
1.
1 pound. Okay. And then I found a good deal on I think it's Stumptown coffee. I think that's the good stuff.
You mail it? They mail it to you?
Mailed it, on Amazon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink that tomorrow.
Sometime we should do a little expose about how Jack makes coffee.
I used to put an Easter egg in my music theory assignments of a video of it. Did I tell you that? I made a video during COVID of my pour over sequence because I was so bored and out of my mind, and I would hide it in my music theory assignments. There's a little coffee emoji.
Yeah.
And if the kids looked far enough, they'd find it.
Did they ever find it?
No, not that year.
Yeah. But you wasted time. You used time to make it happen, so it was worth it.
It was so worth it, and now it still exists. Okay, if you like us and you like our coffee talk,
subscribe now.
Do it.
Like.
Control me.
Like us. Subscribe to us on Chops_podcast on all the socials, or on Chops Podcast on YouTube, or on Spotify or Apple.
Nice, you're getting good at that.
I'm getting better. I got this. Okay.
56 episodes in. Nailing it.
Be back next week. So
Can't
for
wait.
Steve Peterson,
Jack Hinkle.
we're out of here.
Yeah.